Hello everyone, welcome to Samiksha IAS Academy. As you all know, when Google mentioned that it is going to invest close to 88,000 crore for its new data center in the city of Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, initially, as we all have seen, there was a lot of claims and counterclaims with respect to taking credit for that by both ruling party and the opposition. At least by now we must expect that the political dust got settled and we must be asking some more important questions with respect to that. While I was going through some articles with respect to this, I got one important article in the Hindu newspaper. So this specifically talked about what exactly the function of the data center, why do we need them, and the most important question is, what's the power source for them, right? Each data center, as per the article, it requires at least 80 to 100 kilowatt power. Comparing with the normal enterprise servers, they just need close to 15 to 20 kilowatt hours, right? In the case of this Google's data center, it requires 1 gigawatt power. Okay, so in this context, so I feel we should ask some questions. So the first one here, what are data centers? Okay, their status at global level. The third one is source of power. And the fourth one, issues with respect to getting that power. And the last and the most important one, data center and its relationship with economic growth. So I am expecting to address these 5 questions. Okay. If you see the first question, what are data centers? As you all know, why the need arise with respect to these data centers? As you all know this, these data centers, they operate the synthesis of these chips, what we call them as GPUs, right? Graphic processing units, right? This is a hub where lot of data will be processed. Okay, if you know, at the global level, USA, it is having the capacity of 51% as of now. Most of the data centers are located in US. Next is in China, right? It is having its own data centers, right? Okay, then Europe. In India, we hardly have, as of now, only 2. Okay, mean these kind of centers. One is at Jamnagar, and the second one recently in this Visakhapatnam, also called as Vizag. Okay, but why the need arises right now? There are 2 fundamental reasons for this. Reason number 1, post-COVID, we have seen there's a surge of internet usage. Along with that, rising concerns with respect to data protection. As we all know, right now data is being called as new gold. Okay, it's been called as new gold, new currency, new oil. That means there is a lot of salience surrounding the data with respect to its control. Earlier, most of our data, even till date, right, lot of the data of ours is being stored outside the country. It is questioning the safety. In this context, most of the countries, especially India, right, we are demanding data to be stored at the local level. What we call that as data localization. So one is data localization, second one is growing internet usage. Right. Currently we all are using 5G internet. With that, we are connecting to good amount of devices. So it requires centers to process, especially with these GPUs, graphic processing units. For that, we need some established location there. We need servers to process the information. I think, in India right now, we have close to 1 billion internet users. To process all this data, we need centers. So the center that is going to come in Visakhapatnam will play that role to process that. It's good. But the most important question is, what is the source of power? Right? Each data center requires huge amount of power, especially these AI-driven data centers. They consume close to 5 times that of the traditional server. If you see the traditional enterprise server, from traditional, the current one, it is into 5 times, 5x times. If that's the case, then what is the source of power? In general, we use coal, right? Or we are using the renewable energy. Renewables means here we are using either solar, okay, wind, right? Next we have geothermal and so on. Recently we are also using this green hydrogen, right? And there is also another buzzword, that is nuclear. Unlike earlier traditional nuclear power plants, recently there is a buzzword called as SMR, also called as small modular reactors. Okay, so these are the power sources. But however, we have issues with coal because it's a non-renewable energy. We have renewables like solar, wind, geothermal, green hydrogen. These also we can use, right? However, still we have concerns. It's not like we whatever renewable energy we generate, we will be directly using for the data centers. We have other demands also, right? With this reason, even the article also suggested that why can't we try these small modular reactors? Okay, so this now came into the limelight. Why? Because once again the question of this nuclear energy, it came into picture. The reason being, we can generate green hydrogen, but still not fully operational. Right now we are only using gray hydrogen, that emits a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Understood that? So that's why with respect to power source for the data centers, so people are suggesting why can't we try these small modular reactors? Even the government also in the last year's budget, it allocated 20,000 crores. 20,000 crores to develop these small modular reactors. It already started. And earlier there used to be a lot of concerns with respect to the nuclear power. I think you all know. The first major concern is with respect to its safety. What if there happens to be an explosion? The second concern is with respect to its wastage. Okay, so how to, once the wastage comes out of it, where to store it? And the third concern is with respect to regulation of what we call this as the supplier's liability. In India, we have this Civil Liabilities to Nuclear Damage Act 2010. Civil Liabilities to Nuclear Damage Act 2010. So as per this act, there is a clause called a supplier's liability. If anyone who operates especially we have this Nuclear Power Corporation of India, it operates it. But For this, the supply comes from outside. Usually there are some players outside, they will operate it. We have players in Russia, we have players in US, right? Companies like Eriva, companies like Toshiba, they operate it, right? NPCL is there to overall monitor it. But while operating, if there happens to be any unfortunate situation, the suppliers has to bear the brunt. These most of the suppliers are not ready, because if there happens any unforeseen situation, if we will be responsible, then how can we come and invest? This is one of the major reasons why right now we could not able to push heavily with respect to nuclear power. However, right now the government is trying to come with some amendments to this. The reason is simple. When it comes to the small modular reactors, now we developed most advanced technologies. And another important thing is, it's unlike earlier traditional nuclear plants. It's quite small. We can operate it near to the industry. And right now the modulars are preparing in such a way that if there happens to be any small sign of any unfortunate scene, be it in terms of explosion or anything, before that itself the system will be stopped. That kind of latest technologies be developed with respect to that, and the size is also small. With this reason, the government is also trying to utilize this. Why? Because in the coming future, we need the huge amount of data centers, not only in India, across the global level. Right? We will be continuously utilizing the internet, because right now most the economy is being driven by these digital technologies, and we have to live with that. For that, we need a continuous power source. We cannot just supply power to the data centers at the cost of others. So that's why we need to try alternate opportunities. In that context, the small modular reactors, it's becoming the buzz. Understood? So that is with respect to power sources to the data centers. Okay, it's cool. Now, like as we mentioned the questions here, what is the next one? Issues also be discussed. Then, what is their role, right, in the economic growth? Again, in this kind of context also there was discussion when Google announced this data center in Visakhapatnam, there was discussion regarding how many jobs it may generate. See, data centers will not generate most of the direct jobs. They are job multipliers. They are not job reservoirs. Suppose if you open any small scale industry, be it agriculture processing, food processing unit or something, it can directly generate jobs. If you establish a car plant, it can directly generate jobs. But these data centers, how much being a ruling party or opposition party they may claim, they won't provide direct jobs, but they are job multipliers. Why? Because they will drive the economy. Understood? On one side, they need power, so that there will be demand for be it solar, small modular reactors. There, the employment will be generated. They will be processing a lot of information. Understood? So, if we have these data centers at our place, at the local level, we will be storing the data. In this way, we can protect our own data, so that it will not be in the control of ours. We can have data sovereignty. You know, data sovereignty, right? Data sovereignty means we will be owning our data. Right now, we are not much sovereign with respect to data. We must have data sovereignty. Understood? So that's why data centers will not generate direct jobs or direct employment opportunities, but they will give a multiplier push to the economy. In this way, in the coming future, we can generate jobs in other sectors. So that is with respect to their role in economy. That's why data centers are job multipliers. They are not job reservoirs. So this is also one more question that we can understand from this. So in this way, as the country is going to heavily utilize data in the coming future, these kind of data centers will play very crucial role. So that's why we must expect more number of data centers. However, when it comes to their utility, especially in terms of the power, the kind of power they charge, for that we must expect that it must not pose much of damage to environment by consuming most of the non-renewable energy. We must try alternate methods to provide energy to this, because there lies the controversy with respect to these centers across the globe. This is what we need to take care. All right.